Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 8 of the Moment Chat. We're so happy to have you here with us today. We're going to be we're going to answer a question that we got from episode 6, which was, should the man be the head of the household? I think we got, that chat started a lot of conversation. We got a lot of interesting questions, and I felt that it was important for us to kind of double back, answer some of those questions, and make sure we clarify our point. If you have not watched episode 6 of the Moment Chat, should the man be the head of the household, go and watch it. I think it'll give you good foundation for the question that we will answer in this episode. So how are you feeling, baby?
So far, so good, baby.
So far, so good. Okay, let me get this. Okay, so the question that we received is it a law that the man must be the head of the family? If yes, then why? Why I asked that question was because I have come across family where only the woman provides for the family and takes care of the children, whereas the man is just there claiming the head. And most of the times when you see family going through this situation, you discover that there's no love in the household anymore, and that the woman is just there for the sake of the kids and also just to keep the family together. And the absence of fatherly concern can frustrate the kids if the woman is not strong enough to control the kids. All right, so I think that, we did receive a few questions, but I feel like this one is a good jumping base for us to answer a broad stroke of the question, right?
Yep.
So go ahead, baby, take a shot at it. Is it a law that the man must be the head of the family? If yes, then why?
Okay. Well, I think this question really made me think a lot. I think what we're trying to do the last time was establish what we call a right alignment, right? Based on the Bible to say this is usually the structure that things are supposed to go. But what we, but based on some of the questions and the conversations that we've had with people, it makes us realize one thing that, which I think my wife was trying to clarify at the beginning of the, of that video about for us to defining what a husband and all those things were. And I just want to just take the opportunity to just clarify a few things. I think that, yes, what we're really trying to bring about was more about the difference between talking about a masculine energy and a feminine energy. And all of us, we do carry that masculine and feminine energy, but typically in a man, and the key word is typical, right? Typically in a man, they are more male energy dominant, and typically in a woman, they are more female energy dominant. With that said, also we both also have all of those energies inside of us that we also have to learn to balance as well, right? So for example, if I'm male energy dominant, being a visionary for my home and things like that are the things that I should really worry about, But at the same time, also I also have to have that feminine part of me, which also knows when to take a stand, when to be soft, and all of those different things. So if you don't have that balance, then you start to use what they call force instead. And when you're using force and yelling and trying to fight, try to get your way, then you start to get out of balance. All right, it's the same thing as same thing for a female, right? For the feminine energy, you're the one that's supposed to yes, they call it
Nurture.
You're supposed, you call it, they call the female energy chaos, right? But not chaos in the sense that you're chaotic, but chaos in the sense that you're the one who's supposed to bring all the chaos together, right? So you're supposed to bring all the chaos together and form something out of it. So so you go. For example, we always say the women clean after, right? When they clean after the men. They worry they can navigate all of the chaos going on in the house. But if you put a man there, they just get all messed up. So that is more about an energy. But we've seen men that can do that, and the women cannot do that also. So it's not really, so therefore it's really more about the energy that the person carry more than the other way around. And, and now when you get away from that alignment, then we start to talk about different type of situations. Like, for example, you have a man that has not trying to align himself also to his own energy state, right? that has allowed himself to be more ego-driven and not becoming a visionary. Because when you're ego-driven, then you start to think, oh, I'm the head of the household, so everybody have to bow down to me. Not realizing that being the head of the household, you become more of a servant of the family. You see. So now all of those things now start to get disrupted. So you start to beat your wife, you start to abuse them, you start to expect things, and when they don't go your way, then you start to yell, right? So those are things that are starting to go out of alignment.
Okay, so let me make sure, because I don't want this masculine and female energy to go over people's heads. So what you are saying is that when a man embraces his masculine energy, there is a certain way in which he will behave,
Yes.
which makes him the head of the household.
Exactly.
And the head of the household is the behavior, not the fact that he is male.
Not the fact that he's male.
Okay.
Yes.
And so I also understand that you're saying that when a man lacks masculine energy, or his masculinity is threatened, then he will resort to behavior such as force,
Exactly.
such as abuse, just a mismanagement.
Exactly.
Or it'll
so
just
technically
be
there is a force being used, and to bring that point, let's take another way. If you see somebody dancing with some flair, like, wow, look at that person just dancing effortlessly, right? Because you can see the energy just flowing. You're like, oh, that person is one with the spirit, because they are flowing. But when you see somebody that's dancing and doing all kind of stuff, they may be doing all kind of great styles, but you're like, wow, man, that guy is using too much forceful. Exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't seem natural.
So exactly. So when we use those type of statements, what we're actually saying is that they are not tapping the right type of energy.
So what's the answer to the question? Should a man be the head of the household?
Yeah. So a man should be the head of the household if you have the masculine. If you're tapping into a masculine energy, right? So you have to understand what the masculine energy is for you to really be for you to really do that. But should a man be? No, it's not necessarily so. I think that's a good question. It's not necessarily so. It just happened that typically males are more masculine
so
energy
you're trying
dominant.
to say in a marriage,
Yes.
the person who has the most masculine energy should
be the head of the
household.
family. Exactly.
And in some marriages, the woman has the most masculine energy. Therefore, she is the man of the household.
Exactly.
Huh.
I know
Is
that is
so
I know that is
hold
a
on,
whole.
but is that, hold on, but
I'm
is
scratching my head because that
is
kind
that
of.
a negative thing for a woman to have the more masculine energy? Hold on. Not even is that a negative thing. Is that against the law of nature? Will a man, a male by birth, settle into a situation where the woman has more of a masculine energy than him? Will he settle into that, meaning be comfortable in that situation, and it won't be like a struggle? Could that situation work?
No, but the thing about it is that I think this will. The thing about it is that it is not natural in the sense that is not. When we say something is natural, it doesn't mean that. I mean, like for example, if everything has to follow what they call the bell shape, right? But in the bell shape, you also have extremes, which are still part of the normal. So that would be an extreme, and that should be a very small percentage of people. You get the point. So it is now. So we're not saying that now you should be having a maximum amount of people, women coming forward, that because not traditional, naturally they will be more inclined to be more feminine energy dominant. It makes sense. Right. Which goes with the way nature really prepares how things are. But those are all exceptions rather than the rule. Yes. But we're not saying that it cannot exist. It can exist, but it should not be. But that is not what is in the majority. It should not be in the 98% of the people.
So I think, as a woman, I'll say, and especially when you have children, but even as a woman without children, I think women are really good at doing what we have to do. Even if it's not even if it's a tough pill to swallow, we'll still swallow. We'll do what we have to do. And so a lot of times, even if you are married and your husband is not fulfilling his masculine energy and not stepping up to be the man of the household, a woman will fulfill that role because she does not have any other option, and a lot of times that will cause tension. Because have you ever heard the saying that you can't have too many cooks in the kitchen?
Well, you cannot have too many cooks in the kitchen. But number one, when we say we cannot have too many cooks in the kitchen, right? Yes, so that's why it is always important for you to really understand what what the couples are, right? Because if you, let me say, if I see somebody that is, if I, that is always trying to make the rules and take all those things and despise me, even though I'm doing everything right, then that's a clash. For example, if you have a battery, right? For
Have a what?
a battery.
Oh, battery.
A battery,
Okay.
right? So if you have that, and you have to have the negative and the positive, right? For it to work. So when you connect them, that's how the energy flows.
It's like the yin and the yang.
It's like the yin and the yang. It's
Right.
technically that. That's because the yin and the yang has a balance, right?
Right.
If you only have a yin yin, then that's just chaotic, right?
Right.
If you just have the yang yang, then that's just then there's order without any creation.
Right.
Right. So, but now, so if I have now somebody, so if I have somebody that we're both, so therefore we're all trying to make sense out of chaos. Then who is really helping who? It makes
Right.
sense. Then it becomes to, that push is not there, that drive, not that vision is not there. Because our job is not to do the vision. Our job is say, oh, this is a vision. I'll go make sense out of your mess.
Right.
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 And then and then the masculine energy is saying, yes, this is really good. I think that we can be at this level at this point because a vision is not ambition.
Right.
Right. So when you see someone that's ambition, that's somebody also that is getting out out of line of the masculine energy, right?
Really? So you think? Are you trying to say it's negative for a man to be ambitious?
It is very negative to be very ambitious. It is. There's a difference between.
Are you ambitious?
No, I used to be ambitious, and now I'm trying to be a visionary.
Okay.
Because ambition is you putting you have a tunnel view, right? You say ambition is like I'm ambitious to become a millionaire, which
I
means
get
that
what you're saying. That
yeah.
means that you will sacrifice your
Even the family for that, yeah.
for that goal.
Yes.
But vision
But
means
visionary is like, that what am I doing for everybody to go
Right.
together? So
Right.
it's like, I will have to have a beautiful home with a family playing this
Right,
there.
right,
So now
right.
if I get there and they are not there, therefore I did not achieve my vision.
Right.
But if my vision is to have a multi-million-dollar home,
Right.
and and drive all these nice cars, yes, I can get there, but I'll be there alone. So that's been ambition.
That's being ambitious, but vision means that you get there and you have your family,
Yes.
your stable family there, and also vision also includes your grandchildren.
Vision
it's not
also,
just
yes.
It's not just your
So
children. your wife,
technically, your generation, whoever comes after you,
Right.
like you become the leader, that you're carrying people forward.
Exactly,
Yeah.
you carry people forward. I think that that's so important. I think that that's I don't even know what to say. That's like a revelation.
It is a revelation.
That is a revelation. Because I think when it comes to men abusing their power, the world tells us that ambition is a good thing. You should be a hustler. We should be hustling to do this. We should be hustling to do that. Somebody without ambition, it seems like you're lacking something.
Yes.
But I think that the Bible calls for us to be a servant leader.
Yes, the
You
Bible
need-
calls us to be visionaries,
Right.
not ambitious.
You need to lead, but you also need to serve at the same time.
Yes.
And like you said, that takes sacrifice. That takes you.
Okay, for example, look at Moses in the Bible, right?
Okay.
Okay, so after they created the golden calf, God tells Moses, I will wipe out all of them, and in you I will build a new, I will build a new line, right? I will empower you and all those stuff. Yes, but Moses says, no, Lord.
He pleaded.
Yeah,
for
he
the
pleaded, like, what are you doing? Like, people will laugh at
Yeah.
you. Repent, and God repented, and you.
Hold on. God repented.
Oh yes, repent does not mean God sin. Repent means change of mind, and the Bible uses the word repent, so it means change of mind. It doesn't mean that God sinned. Yeah, that's the only one time that has happened. So God changed his mind and then Moses came down. But you see that Moses was able to say, you know what, able to put the people before him,
Right.
because he had an offer that would have been great, that he could have been established in a new line. But he says, no, I don't want that. Right.
Right.
I want the people, and then you also, so you continue to see all of this. There's even a point that that Moses is still standing to say, "Hey Lord, I will not go unless you are with me." To say that because now, as a visionary, you understand who is your source of power.
Right.
So those are those type of things that, as a man, you have to. That's why we say you have to make sure that you are aligned to your, to your supreme being, to God, the one. You have to be that high priest of your home.
Yeah, I think that it's important that in episode 6 we talked about the right alignment, and that's what it pretty much was about. If you do not have the right alignment, then there is no way the man can be the head of the household. The alignment is important.
The alignment is what is important, because when you fall out of alignment, that is why even when you see women struggling to catch up, they are trying to catch up because now they're still taking care of their feminine energy by making sense out of the chaos of you. But you guys cannot really go to the level that you guys are supposed to go. You get the point.
Yeah.
So yes, the woman will accelerate her energy and try to do everything that has to do, but it's just a part of her yin trying to make sense out of the chaos and try to put it together. But without that man in there, they cannot go that far.
Right.
Yeah. Like you and I, we can start right now. I have to come in and say, okay, you can complain about things that are like, okay, baby, this is the goal that things have to be. This is what we have to do. This is what we have to do. So now it may not make sense to you, but you have seen how everything is going, but you know that I have everybody's interest at heart because you've seen me do that, right? So now you can rally under me, and when that comes to pass, everything goes well. But if I just come home, I was like, oh yeah, baby, there's no job out there, so I'm not bringing nothing. Bills are coming, this are happening, nothing's happening. Then you're gonna this guy's not gonna do nothing. I need to step up.
Right.
So now you're gonna step up and do stuff, but like the Bible says, you cannot serve two masters.
Right.
Something gonna have to give.
Something, and a lot of times, what ends up giving is the children.
Yes, and I think there was, there was a question that they asked Denzel Washington really about the rise of black crime in Chicago, right? And and he said, and they were expecting him to go deep into it. And he says, well, the last time he was in Chicago, he saw a 13-year-old boy around 2 a.m. at night with a hoodie walking around. I was like, where was his father? Where was his father? If that guy gets shot, right? If that guy gets shot the next minute, people are going to say, oh, there's a black issue going on. But if his father was there providing that support and every single thing, because why would your 13-year-old be walking down the street at that amount of time and you don't know?
Right, you don't
Right.
know.
Because I cannot even imagine that for my 18-year-old, let alone that. Yeah.
And it could be a plethora of reasons. It could be that the mom is working a night job to make sure that that child eats, or to make sure that that child has a place.
But
to
now
stay.
you understand now why there's an increase of, increase of behavioral issues among a lot of black families
because a woman has to
you have to step up. Exactly.
She has
And
to
something has to
compensate
loss,
for
yeah.
that missing masculine.
Exactly. And what she's
household.
compensating on is paying bills and doing all of this stuff.
Providing
So what
those
she's really
basic
supposed to be doing has to suffer.
Right. What she's supposed to be doing, which is watching the kids and making
Yeah,
sure.
nurturing
Because I feel like if a woman is in her feminine energy, especially if she has kids, you can notice changes in your kids. You can notice if your kid has had a bad day, because you don't have to stress about, am I going to get kicked out of my house?
Yeah.
Or does my child have nutritious food, or do they have shoes? So you can spend your time really noticing and really planning and really just helping your kids.
So the reason is that one of the attributes of a feminine energy is being, right? Like, remember the other day I was telling you that, okay, we are human beings. But we do more of human doing instead of being, instead of just being there. The woman is, that feminine energy gives you that capability of you really being present with your kid.
Right.
But you see sometimes I can be with you, I'm doing every stuff, but I'm on my phone, I'm this, because I am not present.
Right.
I may be there being with you, but I'm not, it's like I'm doing you, but I'm not being with you.
Right.
So now I cannot, now so I don't have that intuition. I don't know when things are bad. I cannot see that sort of changes.
Right.
But one of the attributes about that feminine energy is just learning to just be there in the present. pay that attention to that kid. See what's
Right.
going on. See those subtle
Right.
changes.
Right.
So that before something bad happens, you have caught it.
Right. Do you believe that when we talked about masculine and feminine energy, yin and yang, do you believe that if the more masculine that a man becomes, the more feminine the woman becomes? Like it's
Oh
it
yes,
becomes
yes, because it
counterbalance?
has to balance. Yeah, because
Right.
it has to balance. So there is that balance, and the more you do your part, then the other person doesn't have to catch up with that, right?
Right.
So now you become more in tune. So you become more in sync, right?
Right.
So that is exactly what happened. So when you see men start to say, "Oh, I don't know why my wife is not this," the question you should be asking is, "Am I really
Making
harnessing
space for her to
my,
be that
exactly?
way.
Am I harnessing my masculine energy really
Right.
well? Am I balancing my feminine and my masculine energy really well?
Right.
Am I doing what I must?" Those are things that you have to be doing. But it's the same thing also with the female, right? If your man is always complaining that you're being very critical, you're being very this, the question that the woman is supposed to be asking that, am I really being there for him? Am I really creating a space? Because another attribute also for feminine energy is creativity.
Right.
Am I creating the space for this guy to grow? Am I creating? So therefore, it's a two-way street that you have to
Right.
first of all, unless you have sat there and analyzed that part and make sure that you have done those things, then you cannot really try to fix the other person, right?
Right.
Because if your energy is out of balance, then of course it can affect the other
The
person
other
too.
person's energy is going to be out of balance also.
Yes.
Right. So that's when it might be time to bring in some sort of counseling,
Yeah.
some sort of like marriage counseling,
Yeah.
family therapy, whatever it may take, right?
Yep.
Right. So the second part of the question is, I have come across families where only the woman provides for the family and takes care of the children, whereas the man is just there claiming the head. And I think we pretty much just addressed that. The woman should not be the only one providing for the family. God made two parents for a reason. It is a two-person job. Anytime one person does the job of taking care of a child completely, the children will suffer because one person is not meant to do everything for children.
Yeah. But you see, and I think the only catch there is just that we're not talking about people who are actively looking for a job or they're in between jobs and
Right.
things like that, right?
But we
You know,
talk
yeah.
about providing is not just monetarily, right?
Right, yeah.
Even if a man is laid off or he's, having a hard time or whatever, he's
Then pick
bouncing
up the
back
other
from
slack at the
situation.
house so that the
Right.
woman,
So,
you
yeah.
guys can. And the thing about it too, to be honest, these things are dynamic things. They are not static things,
Right.
right? So therefore, they can change also based on the circumstances and how
Yes.
things are going. So which means that, as long as you are in tune with your energy, and in tune with each other, it becomes easier to discuss some of those things.
Right.
Because you've seen a situation where, where a man is struggling to catch up with bills, but he doesn't know how to tell the wife and everything, and then one day, they go out there, they're like, oops, this house is on foreclosure.
Right.
We're
They
kicking
get a
guys
note
out.
on the door.
Exactly. Because he had not had that courage to come and tell the woman. Why? Because there's a misalignment. Because you should be able to have all those type of conversations and things like that. So, but this is something that because a woman can also change also and step up the game or give you ideas to create new stuff.
Right. Or cut back in some
Yeah.
areas. It is always a conversation to be had, right?
Yep. And to tie that up to spirituality, that is why. So when we talk about heaven and earth, right?
Right.
Heaven is really like the male energy,
Okay.
right? Earth is a female energy. That's why we say Mother Earth, right?
Why do you say that?
Because the heaven is what gives you the creativity. Because vision is like having, vision is more about having an unseen thing, right?
Right.
But the woman is the one that takes it and make it into a physical thing, make it
Right.
into
Something
reality.
that can be seen.
So
and
yes,
felt.
so the heaven will give you stuff, but it will only end in the spiritual realm if you don't take it and manifest it to be in the
Right.
physical realm.
Okay.
So that is why Christ talks about. That's why Christ is the groom and the church is the bride.
Right.
So it's more about the energy part because Christ now carries a male thing, which is a visionary, is the one bringing everybody together and things like that.
Right.
And then and when they meet in that bridal chamber, now the two energy mixes and everything manifests.
Okay. All right, so it says, whereas the man is just there claiming the head. I think we touched on that.
That's
also.
out of alignment, so that's wrong.
You can't
Yes.
just out your mouth say you're the head of the household. It takes actions.
Yeah.
It costs to be the boss. You
As a
can't
matter of
just
fact,
say
you
that
should
I'm the
always
boss.
feel like I'm not doing enough. So
Right.
if you are there claiming that you are, therefore you are not, therefore you're really out of alignment.
Right.
You should always feel like,
it's like people who every time you talk to them, they're talking about how much money they have or how much they have. Those people,
they're trying to compensate.
they probably don't have
Yes.
money. And that's the same thing with men. When they feel like there's something lacking in their masculine energy, they will
Compensate with
overcompensate
force.
with force, with abuse, with cheating. They'll always try to fill that void, but the void is within themselves. And the only
Yeah.
person that they are hurting is their legacy,
Yeah.
their children, their grandchildren, their great grandchildren. Those
Yeah.
are the people that will suffer. And you need to go to God and you need to heal.
Yes.
God
Yeah.
therapy to heal that hole. Right?
Yeah.
All right. All right. The next part. Most times when you see a family going through this situation, you discover that there is no
Those are
love.
the side effects. Yeah.
You'll discover that there's no love in the household anymore, and the woman is just there for the sake of the kids. Now, this brings up another point. Do you think that a woman should just stay in a marriage, just a marriage that does not serve her or her kids for the sake of the kids, or just to be married?
I think that's really another topic.
But yes or no?
No, it's not an easy yes or no, but it's not a black or white.
So it's a further discussion.
It's a further discussion that needs to be dissected. It's not a black or white. 'Cause
It's
then-
a further
yeah.
discussion, but I would say there's in a situation that you see that the man is just claiming to be the head of the household and a woman is providing. That doesn't necessarily mean that there's no love there.
Yeah. So this is one thing that I say is that when you see a woman that has a balanced feminine energy, right? She's very confident about herself.
Right.
She's not depending on applause.
Right.
So now that type of person will not even give an opportunity to a man to treat her that way. It will not even rise up to that point.
It won't rise
Yeah.
up to that point. You know what my dad used to do? When I was young, he used to point out women to me and say, that woman, she looks well taken care of.
Yeah.
Like you can see it radiates off of her. She looks like a woman that's well taken care of. And that's a balance and energy. But I think that even if a woman does get into that situation where the alignment is off, it doesn't mean that there's no love there. It could be many issues,
Yeah.
and a lot of the times it's a personal issue. It's like
Yeah.
it's a self-reflection.
Okay, so let me give a very quick example, right? Okay. So even when you're yin and yang or male and female energy, you're still supposed to be a mirror to the other person, right? Because you're a
Right.
reflection of the other person, right?
Right.
So if I see a man worth taking care of, I was like, wow, your wife is doing a good job, right? If I see a woman worth taking care of, like, wow, your man is really taking good care of you. So we are each other's reflection.
Right.
So if you're each other's reflection, it means that the man is supposed to point things in a loving way to the woman, that the woman can progress and and grow.
Right.
The woman also is supposed to do that also to the man, right? But if the woman, for example, is not well aligned, now the woman now becomes defensive when the man brings up issues, right? And if the man also is not aligned, then the way the man will present those issues also becomes a problem. Then it becomes now that the woman is always receiving it, but now receiving that in a negative way that it doesn't help her. But she's never telling the man what is going on also. So now she's the only one always just complaining and complaining. So now she's like, oh, you always complain about me. No, but what is really happening is that the man is doing his job to be a reflection of you. You are not doing your job to be a reflection of him. You get the point. So you are actually the one cheating him because you are not pointing to him. But again, like I said, it's not that simple also because there are reasons why you're not doing your job.
Right.
Which that is where you have to go back and say, why am I not able to tell him? How can I tell him? How can I be? Because it's not just coming like, oh, baby, I don't like this ring on your finger. Oh, I don't do this. No, it is really finding a constructive way to do it.
Right.
So if you're not able to come up with that, if you don't have that kind of atmosphere or something, so sometimes it's really more about you
Right.
more than the man.
Right.
And so, but then you always say like, oh, this guy, my man is always complaining about me. But he's probably bringing a lot of constructive things. But because you are not doing your part, because of societal restrictions and all of those stuff, you're scared, you don't want to hurt his feelings and things like that. You allow those things to carry on. So he doesn't see himself because he doesn't have a mirror, but he's trying to be a mirror to you. So now, instead of you thinking that he's doing you bad, you're the one doing him bad because you're not acting as his mirror. But that's what I said. That's a whole different conversation, that needs to be dissected.
Yeah, that is a whole different conversation because we can actually go off on a tangent with
Yes.
that, right?
Yes.
We can. Okay, so the last part of the question that really struck me is if it says in the absence of fatherly concern can frustrate the kids if the woman is not strong enough to control the kids. If the woman is not strong enough to control the kids.
Yeah. Because remember that the thing about kids is that kids are the fruits, right?
Right.
Kids are the fruits. Like we mentioned in one of the other videos, the fruit does not always stay with the tree, right? But the tree will always remain. But what type of fruit the tree produces will depend on how nourished that tree is.
Right.
So therefore, if you don't have that right alignment, if the tree is lacking in some form of nutrients or something like that, fruit's gonna be bad. They will not taste well. They will be full of diseases and things like that. It's the same thing with our children. So the key thing is always going back and making sure that you have that right alignment. And if it don't happen, yes, by the mercy of God, you can have a kid that come from a bad environment, and mercy of God, they succeed in life. But the question is, did they really succeed? Because being succeed is a relative term, right? Yes, maybe they can make it to be a medical doctor, but could they have been the president?
Right.
It makes sense.
Right.
So yes, even though it seemed like they succeeded, and even if that was what it was supposed to be, but at the whole, can they come back to your home and, you know what I'm saying? Because all of those things will pass on.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't want as you raise your children, you don't want them to have to heal from the way that you raise them when they become adults. You have so many adults walking around that they have so much childhood trauma that they have to heal from that childhood trauma. We want to raise children that don't have to heal from the way that we raise them.
And think about this way. Would you like to go to the store, see that nice juicy apple, you buy the apple, you come in and you bite it and one side of it is raw. You have to clean that side. It's the same thing you should look at your children. Will I want my children to grow up looking special and good one day, but when they go into their home, a whole side of it is raw?
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that, the point of that is your marriage affects your children. That is a big effect on your children. What happens in your household affects your children.
Yep.
And the choices that you make individually within that marriage affects those children. So you have to think about you have to think about that. Yep. It's important to think about that, when you're choosing a partner, right? Mm-hmm. You have to make sure that your energies match, that yin and yang before you choose a partner. Can that woman fill in the void of, whatever, your energy when you're choosing a partner? Mm-hmm. And as you are married, the choices you make, whether you argue in front of the kids, whether it's going to be a knockdown, drag out fight in front of the kids, whether there's going to be infidelity in the home, stability of the home, all of those things, you have to think about how those will impact your children, because it definitely will.
It will. Well, I think that's a good conversation. What do you think?
I think so also.
Anything else to add?
No, not really. I think that a lot of times men will complain about women, especially black women, how soft women are. That a lot of women now are hardened. And I think that if you want a woman to be really feminine and be in her feminine energy, a guy has to remember that he has to be masculine and be in his masculine energy.
And I think this is even a good point to even introduce our next topic, feminism. What does it really mean to be
a feminist?
To be a feminist. Because I think that has also really shaken us a lot, and we've seen a lot of challenges with that, and I think that we may share that from our own point of view. So look forward to our next video. I think that's what we'll talk about.
Right, feminism, for sure.
Again, as usual, please like the video, share the video, subscribe to the video. Please comment, send them privately or comment on under the video. I really like all of the talks that I've been hearing about. I think that this conversation is really provoking people to look at things in a different way. And that is really the point, because we do believe that everything that you are is inside of you.
Right.
And our goal is not to come and teach you, but to help reveal what is already inside of you. So I hope that this is really doing what it's supposed to do. I have been very encouraged with all of the comments, both good and bad, because
Right.
it has started the conversation, and that is the goal. So please don't be scared to send your comments. We'd like to hear from you, good or bad. They are all different perspectives. Thank you.
Bye, guys.